Hi everyone! Welcome to season 2 of Window Chats with Robyn, the Instagram live podcast where I sit by my window and chat with very interesting people. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all the podcasts, and also available afterwards to watch on IGTV should you miss it live. Not a problem. Do a little snippet on Facebook. I'm just going to put it everywhere, people. And now my guests get an IMDb credit, so it's kind of a big deal. Very exciting. Today, the guest we have today is Brian Goldenberg, and I'm so excited to chat with him. It should be fun. And here's the goal. For those of you that watch season 1, you know I like to chat. I am a rambler. That is what I do. Now, the goal for season 2 is to try my best to keep the conversations between 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm hoping I can accomplish that because for my loyal viewers, you know that sometimes it can be like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that's a lot. So let's see if we can keep it nice and brief. And Brian's here, so we're gonna invite him in. Get excited. Da, 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 Brian. And sending request. Will it work? Okay, most stressful part of every window chat. Whew. Okay, I have faith. Maybe. I like to also narrate. Okay, we're cool. Now we're fine.
How's it going?
It's good. How are you? Oh, nice picture choice, Brian.
The picture, and you see I've got my window up. I guess I got to angle this a bit more like that. I set this up with the camera thing before, so it's a little bit different on IG Live. But there you
Classic.
go. Our window. We got some art in the background. And I got my piano right behind me, so we're all good here.
It's a very ideal location.
Yeah, this is my makeshift office here during COVID times. So. It's actually my real office, but it's where I basically don't leave here because we don't go anywhere.
But yeah, we're like, where am I gonna go? Yeah, you don't have to.
Well, we can start maybe sometime soon, right? Like things are starting to open up, which is kind of nice.
I mean, nice, but also I'm like, I don't know. I'm comfortable now. Like I have my new routines. Now I have to change my new routines again. It's a whole thing.
Oh, I know. It's like you spent a whole year where you didn't have to see anybody, and now it's like, but I want to see people. I genuinely miss people, so I'm excited.
I can see that. You're a social guy. You know so many people. Everyone knows you. Like it's ridiculous.
I don't know if I would say that, but I do love spending time with people, and I love being able to create things. And I think you know, I know you can relate being a fellow theater person, right? That when you like to collaborate, you like to work with people, and it's fun. Right? I mean, we are human beings. I think in our core are social beings. As much as we talk about, you know, some of us are more introverted than others, but at the end of the day, we all do need people.
For sure. Yeah, that's part of why I like to do this. I like to catch up and like see what people are doing. So, and you're doing some. Okay, we're gonna discuss VCPs. They're doing some cool stuff now. They are really improving their Instagram. So Brian, can we discuss this this Instagram that is being explored? Do you like how I did not know how to phrase the question, so I kept talking and hoped the words would come? I'm rusty, okay? It's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these.
This is all good. Well, you know what, just for anyone who doesn't know, VCP stands for Vanier College Productions, which is the extracurricular theater company at York University. And we are actually going into our 50th anniversary season this year.
Whoa.
Super exciting. So we've, you know, I mean, one of the things about VCP that is pretty awesome is that it's really powered by our alumni. And it's alumni of the program that have kept this thing going for as long as it is. And we've got some incredible VCP producers who I have the absolute honor of working with. And one of them this summer, Danny Sylvan, who you might know, has sort of taken up the charge of really sort of rebranding our Instagram platform and sort of really thinking about sort of how can we make our Instagram account work and not collaborate, that's not the right word. How can we engage with our students, right? And sort of rethinking about, and we're also actually, you know, I'll drop a little surprise for those who don't know it. which is actually we're in the process of completely rebranding our website as well. So that's going to be revealed later on in the summer. And both of these things are being done with a mind to how can we interact and engage with our students, as opposed to how can we sell tickets. The tickets will follow, but it's really about engaging with students. So anyone who does follow our Instagram, which is at Vanier Productions, will see that there's been a lot more engagement over the last couple of months. And we've got even more exciting things to come in the coming year.
Brian, I was smiling when you started saying selling tickets because when I think of someone that knows how to sell tickets, I think, okay, what would Brian Goldenberg do? Because it's just like you don't take no for an answer. I go, I don't know, Brian, I don't have money. Yeah, but you have $1, right? I'm like, well, yeah, I do, but do you need my dollar? Well, yeah, like what are you gonna do with it? I don't know. I can't even buy coffee for $1. I'll give you my dollar. It's just you're so good at producing and like gathering money for me is like if that was my job, I would freak out. I go, I don't know. Maybe this has value. Please pay if you feel like it. I really, it's a skill. It's impressive.
Well, thank you for saying that, Robin. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I mean, and you see it happening all across the theater industry now, right? There's that, in terms of social media platforms, like it's about engaging with audiences, right? It's not just about selling tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the companies, and I think my colleagues who do this, that do a really good job understand that, right? That it's not every communication you're having with people isn't just about selling a ticket. And so, I mean, one thing that I'll say certainly in my experience when I have been trying to sell tickets, and for anyone who is friends with me or an acquaintance with me or met me once, will probably receive an email at some point in time saying you should come see this show. But the thing that I'm very proud of and I take a lot of pride in is that when I am reaching out to people, it's not just to sell that ticket, that I genuinely do have a relationship with people. And I do, I often will finish an email with, I hope to see you soon. And I have to say, I genuinely mean that, right? That it's not just a line to try to sell a ticket. And I think that's important. I think it's really important that we're, that we are building those relationships.
When you say building relationships, I agree 100% because I've been to your shows and it's just this, like, it feels as though everyone's a family there. Everyone knows each other. There's just this warmth. Like, I don't know. It's very, I've enjoyed watching the shows and also intermission almost as much, which is so weird because normally you want to, not that the shows weren't great, but the people watching it were also great. There's just like a lovely group of people that surround you. So,
Well, when you say family like that, like we were up on campus this past weekend, sort of going in and restoring our theater. So when everything shut down last March, we were in the middle of a show. And but I'd have to look into records, but I'm going to suggest that this is probably the longest that a set has ever sat on our stage because we took it down this past weekend. And one of the things I was saying to the students and the other producers while we were up there is to say that, like, when you come to VCP, when you come into the theater, right? Like one of our students says, it feels like coming home, right? And for those people who remember the sitcom Cheers, right? That the theme song of you go where everyone knows your name, right? And that's really like for me that's what the theater is, right? Whether it's at York, whether it's at Angelwalk, whether it's at many other wonderful theater companies that we have in this country, but it's just about it's community, right? We're going we're going to enjoy something, we're going to be entertained. Sometimes it'll hopefully will promote some thought and discussion afterwards. But that that's sort of our community, right? That we're coming together and we're existing and we're getting out. And if you look at almost everybody in any capacity in this world, they have some element of culture that's part of their life, right? Whether it's what they do for a living, or it's just their hobby. So it's important. It's really important that we bring communities together and that we are able to share talents and that we're able to socialize and interact with one another.
Oh, here's a question that I didn't even think to prep you with, but what would be your first show in person back that you guys would do? Don't have to tell me if you know, but I'm curious.
My first show back. Well,
that you'd want to do, not that necessarily you're doing, but if you had your choice, no one else can say anything. What would be the show you go, this has to be done? Although that's a lot of pressure, right? Ooh.
A lot of pressure. Well, I mean, but it is and it isn't. I have some favorites. I would say on a professional level, a show that I have always wanted to do that just haven't found the right moment is a little show called Daddy Longlegs. And it's a two-person musical, and the music is just absolutely stunning. Um, I know that it did premiere in Canada, actually at the Manitoba Theatre Centre a number of years ago, and I had the pleasure of seeing a very small production of it at the Davenport Theatre in New York a few years ago. But it's a stunning little production, and if anyone's looking for some solos to add to their book, it's very similar, not in terms of the storyline, but it's similar to something like The Last 5 Years, where the two characters sing a bunch of solo pieces throughout the show. So there's tons of really, really great pieces in it. And I think the composers wrote Jane Eyre also. So that if that's a little tidbit for those musical theater buffs out there.
I like that. And now, as I'm going to go find a new audition song and go, oh, well, maybe now I don't want to promote the chat, because now if the songs are good, everyone will know about the musical that's obscure. That was funny in my head. It's we move on from there. But okay, picking an audition song is genuinely challenging. And I know everyone has a go-to, but you know, there's the overdone ones you don't do versus, I mean, but then again, I'm like, what if I rock an overdone song, right? So it's a tough one.
Well, and I think some things have come full circle, right? Like when I was first starting out, you know, every other person that came into an audition room sang something from Les Mis, right? And now that has shifted, and you know, you're getting a lot more Wickeds and a lot more of the you know, the more modern shows of the last decade or so. And I think to come into an audition and sing a Les Mis piece now, I think I mean the songs, they were overdone for a reason, because they were really good when they started, right? And then after a while, you know, when you do you audition and you're on the audition panel for a couple of days and you've heard On My Own 16 times, they get outdone. But I think so. I think it's tricky, and I think you have to look through sort of what everyone's doing at the time, because the goal with the audition song is you want to do something that no one else is doing. Ideally you want to do a song in the room that you're the only one that does that song, because it makes it more memorable for the audition panel, but also just allows you to think creatively a little bit more opportunities to really explore sort of your version of that piece.
See, as you're saying this, I just want to go into an audition room and rock Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Like, I just want to go in there. Here you go. You have definitely not seen this before, because no one would have the balls to do that. So,
well, you know what? Up at York, for many years, we do like a general audition, right? So students come in and they don't have a choice, right? They have to sing a song, they have to do a monologue, and they have to do a little bit of improv, which is absolutely terrifying, I know, for some people who don't love doing improv. But we have fun with it, and I think that if you talk to most of the people who come into the audition room, that they would say they have a good time, regardless of the outcome. The goal is want to have a good time. And I would say a good number, I know half might be a bit too high, but a solid number of students we will have sing Twinkle Twinkle or Happy Birthday, because if they don't have prior musical training, we don't care, right? This isn't about, you know, we're not bringing you into the room to if you aren't interested in singing, that's fine. We just want to see if you're willing. Are you willing to go out there and take a risk and try something new, right? And the interesting thing is that a lot of people who think that they can't sing actually can sing. I mean, personally, as a musician and someone who leads choirs, I believe everybody can sing. But I would say that you discover a lot of people who think that they can't sing, and then they come in, you're like, wait a sec, where did that voice come from? You should try this a bit more, right? And the same thing goes for everything, right? The same thing goes for the acting or for the improv, and quite frankly, anything else in your life, right? If you don't try something, how will you ever know?
absolutely.
So, here we go. So apparently we've gone into a philosophy chat today.
I love it though. That's why I keep it open. Let's see what comes up. But it's a great, I mean, that's true though, right? You don't know until you try. And I think that's a great life lesson. Oh, okay. Leah has a question. What's the most memorable, unique song choice you've seen at an audition? Ooh. And now everyone's going to do it afterwards.
Everyone's going to do it afterwards. I can't think of any specifics off the top, but I definitely will say, just to go back to what I was saying before, when people come in and they do something that is just, it hasn't been done that day, right? It stands out. And also I would say, I love when people come in and they sing an audition song that I've never heard before. And then you just kind of, and then, you know, then of course I'm madly scribbling notes going, okay, so what is that song? Because I love that. And I want to use that for something. But yeah, I mean, I think when you can find the gems out there that speak to you and that you can do, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's, you want to come in, you want to sing something that you're going to do well, right? What is going to showcase you? What's going to showcase your voice? And also, like, what can you perform, right? Like, there's a difference between singing well and performing, right? And being able to sell the song and to communicate the meaning behind it and to convey that emotion, and to bring the character to the song and perform that. So I think when a song speaks to the person who's performing it, and that they're able to really bring something to it, I think that's what I really enjoy,
Sure.
in an audition. And it showcases their voice well. So I've had a lot of fun over the years through my various experiences about when I find a song and I go, okay, this is a good song choice for you, like for your voice and for your and for the way that you perform and you act and you do things. This is a song you will do well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love and in our show choir up at the university, because we're creating our shows every year, we get a lot of joy in being able to do that. A lot of times we'll start the year and we don't have the songs picked up. We might have a few that we're like, I'd love to do this song. And then we see who comes out and we see who we have in the group and we go, okay, that song's not going to work. But you know what? We have these people in the group this year. And I think this song would be a great choice for them. And so, yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
I thought that was very, yeah, that was helpful for me. There's a delay in the comments, so I'm going to assume Leah is satisfied with your response. Otherwise, she will leave and be, no, I have no idea how this works. I think it was great. But I always think, Brian, you just respond. Like, you just have such a way. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I had this thought the other day. And I remember when I went over to your house and I was discussing like the biz with you and Allie. And we sat down and we had a serious discussion on the pros and cons of going and becoming an artist. And you just had such amazing insight. And I love the job that you're doing and the information you share and the positivity that you spread to all these performers that want to grow and get better. And I think you play such a valuable role in everyone's life, even if you're not aware of it. But I think you should be, because I think you're awesome. So that's just spreading a little love your way.
Well, I think you're awesome too, and I love that you're doing these window chats. I think it's great. I mean, we all have to do something right now just to spread a little love and to be able to help people, bring joy and bring positivity to the world. But I truly think we're all here to help each other, right? And I think back to that chat. I remember when you came over, and
Is that like my notes? Little notepad. Question,
yeah.
cousin Brian. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what it is. It's never be afraid to approach anybody, right? Like we're all in this together, right? At the end of the day, like whether you're just starting out or someone's been in the business for 30 years. I have not been in the business for 30 years. I mean, I am going gray, but I'm.
That's COVID. That's COVID's fault.
Having kids and there being a pandemic, but aside from that, but no, but I mean, I think that that's the nice thing about the industry, is that you can really reach out to anybody, and know that we are all here to help each other out, right? Make friends, develop great collaborators, that you find people who you love to work with. You'll hire them, they'll hire you, right? Like it goes both ways, and we're all in this. So yeah, and I have there's so many people, through the university and through the theater world who have been such, and through the nonprofit sector where I've worked as well, who have been such wonderful mentors for me. And so it's kind of my mission to try to be able to give some of that back as much as I can, and to be able to share, and if you talk to any of my students, they'll tell you that, I love to tell stories, and I love to teach, right? I love to be able to share and to help and to guide and to mentor wherever I can. And we're all still students, right? I'm still learning every day. And so, there's great people out there, and we can all learn from each other.
But I think it takes, I mean, anyone can say they're a teacher, but I'm I'm wondering too. I'm like, I think I did some vocal lessons with you. You're very talented, sir. And you are so supportive as an individual. Like, even if I make a mistake, I know it's okay, versus, you've had different teachers in your life that you go, oh, if I make a mistake, this is the worst thing ever and I should just stop performing. But you don't give that vibe. And I think that's really important for people to know. It's okay to try, and something doesn't work out, let's just try something else, versus that didn't work out, this business isn't for you. So it's just, again, that mindset that you have, I think, is great.
I appreciate that, but I'll credit the people that I've grown up with, both, personally, professionally, but also, that as I started to get involved in the arts as a young, as a young child and a teenager, and then, and then into my 20s, that I had really great, I was fortunate to have a lot of really great people around me. And so that was always the atmosphere in the room. In terms of, right, I mean, like the goal, and I think we've talked a lot about auditioning today, so maybe we're doing an audition workshop.
I know, we just, in this audition 101 with Brian, I know, it just
I don't know,
happened.
not into that today, but what I would say is that anybody on an audition panel would say that they want the people in the room to do their best, right? That they want to see what you can do, and I think that applies. I think that applies to all aspects of teaching, or it should apply to all aspects of teaching, right? That you want your students to do well. You want, you want people to achieve their potential. So creating an environment that allows people to succeed is important, right? And if you're creating, I mean, look, performing is scary. Like let's not sugarcoat that, right? Like it's scary to get up in front of, a few hundred people or a few thousand people and perform, depending on what stage you're on. It doesn't matter. It's scary to get up and perform in front of two people, right? Like that, like, anytime that you're up sort of at the front of the room, that is definitely, takes courage and bravery. But so you want to create the conditions that allow someone to figure out how to do that well, that figure out how to be comfortable. How do we find that zone and that comfort, so that we can perform well? Because from a show perspective, and I mean, or teaching, or whatever way you want to look at it, we're teaching performance. We're developing performers, and so you're going to have to do that in front of an audience. You're going to have to do that when you're nervous, and you have to channel that adrenaline and figure out how do I manage that. And actually, the adrenaline, I often think is an advantage. I think that you use that, and that's why live performance is so special, because you're getting something that you wouldn't create. And I mean, we can talk about film as a whole other thing, and I'm not knocking the film industry, but I'm saying, but you're getting something very different when you're able to respond to an audience, you're able to perform live, and to kind of channel, that fear. And so,
And that's why when I become a big star, I'm going to get people to make the on-set seem like it's live. I'll just have them like boo or applaud, and I'll use that. They'll edit that in post, right? But I'll use it for my this is something, right? I'm like thinking of ideas now. This could be a thing. You hire theater actors that are just sitting in the audience on film set, and they're going, yeah, or like boo energy kind of thing. When someone plays the bad guy and they boo them and they come on stage. I love those pantomime shows. Those are great. Okay.
So it's like a new role for the extras, right? So when you're when you're not on the scene, someone puts up a card that says boo, or someone else puts up a card and says, right? So like, could you? I mean, it'd be kind of fun. I mean, it would definitely make for some interesting.
It's a terrible idea. It's.
I don't know. You know what? I often think that I joke a lot when I'm working on things, and I often say that, like, you joke about something enough, you should do it, right? And sometimes the funnier or the crazier the idea, it's worth a try, and you come up with something kind of interesting. So I don't know.
This is the first time I did this joke. So if it keeps coming up randomly in conversation, I will pursue it, and I will reach out to you.
Okay. Sounds well. It was coined here, right? So like,
I'll give you credit. You get like 10% cut. Done.
Perfect. Well, please speak to my agent, Robyn.
I also don't know how to charge for this crowd. Maybe I actually recently discovered there's a job called Walla director, WALLA, and I think that's the crowd sounds. And I think, oh my gosh, what if we have this person directing the sounds now? Oh, now I have to reach out to a Walla director. I have a lot of homework to do now, Brian. Okay, I'm rambling, and I want to use you versus my internal thoughts that I will look into after this chat.
Well, it's all good. It's all good. I'm like Walla. Now we're going somewhere. We're going somewhere.
I think, yeah, I'm like, oh, there is potential. Well, what if someone takes the idea? You know what? Take the idea. I'll take 10%. You get 10%. There you go. I don't know why it's 10. I feel like it should be an arbitrary number, like, I don't know, 12.3. Why not? That seems fun. Because then it's 1, 2, 3. That is fun. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I did have a question in the terms of, because I don't actually know if I know this, and I actually don't know how you got into the arts. And I don't know why I don't know this, and that upsets me as a relative. How did you end up where you are? Isn't
Uh,
that a fun question to ask? And remember when I said this is half an hour, now we have like 6 minutes left
6 minutes left to do how well. I mean,
to just like sum up your entire life? Cool.
from the very beginning, I mean, it's my parents, right? I mean, I would credit them. My mom's a retired elementary music teacher. She plays viola and piano, and so she got me involved in the arts very early. Piano lessons were not an option. was
Yes.
it was mandatory. And I was actually, I was told at a young age that if I took piano lessons at some point, I would be allowed to learn the guitar, which I'm still waiting for. But but somewhere
Oh my God.
somewhere along the way, I really did fall in love with the piano. I had a project. I was fortunate to go to Baythorn. For anybody who lives in York Region, they have an arts program when I was in grade 6. And one of the assignments we had to do was we could either write a song or a rap. And for anybody who knows me, I mean, it might be a very comedic experience, but rapping was not going to be the thing that I chose to do. And so I started songwriting. And that's actually what really, I would say, drove my passion for music, was that once I started figuring out how to write music, then I really started to delve into learning about how other composers were writing music and orchestrating music. And so I've written at least 100 songs at this point. And I wrote a musical that we did in the Fringe a number of years ago. And I see Christy saying,
Christy wants to hear your rap. I love that, Christy.
It's not going to happen today. Maybe another day, but maybe that'll be like an auction prize or some kind of raffle.
I would pay for that. I would pay for that.
But in any event, and so I started really getting involved in music in that way. And that sort of, and if we fast forward many years, it's actually music that got me into theater, because I started playing in pit orchestras for musicals, and I started conducting the orchestras. And then,
Oh my gosh, Brian, did you do Brian Lee's? Didn't we do like a last 5 year or Jason Robert Brown tribute? Did you do that? Or I have to that. Sorry, I interrupted your train of thought, but I'm wondering, is this like 13-year-old me and then like adult Brian Goldenberg is behind us being really cool? I'm like, oh, I think he's doing something. Is that not you? Okay.
I did do other stuff with this is my brother-in-law Brian, but I did do other stuff with him over the years. But that one I don't think I did. But that was at the Palmerston. I remember like you hear the subway go by throughout, right? Which is sort of the joy of that theater. But yeah, no. So I mean, I would say like yeah. So I came up sort of through conducting and orchestrating, and I got to a certain point when I was doing community theater, and I wanted to conduct a whole bunch of shows, and nobody else was producing it. And so I was like, well, how hard could producing be? And so to go back to the earlier part of our conversation about trying things that you that you don't know, and you might find something out about yourself that you love. And so I discovered that I actually really enjoyed the producing side of it as much as I enjoyed the music directing side of it. And then I got a chance, I would say, to end up actually producing a show that had no music in it, which was so much easier than producing a musical. I was like, whoa, like this actually, there aren't 18 different departments to try to put this thing up onto stage. And I did that just to see, do I really enjoy the producing side of it? And the answer was yes. And I thoroughly enjoy that. And I still love to conduct. I still love to orchestrate and arrange music, which I get to do as, in running the show choir at the university. But yeah, it all kind of that's there we go. There's my I made it into our 6 minutes. So there you go.
You did. I know. I was so impressed, even with my little interjection, because I was curious. That would derail even the best of us. But you kept pushing through, Brian. True professional as always.
Well, I work well with time limits, right? It's the producer for me. Like tech times have to be stuck to, or budgets go over. So
That was impressive. And also I commend you for producing is really hard. And I love it. I go, of course you do, because it's hard and challenging and you can do a lot of things. So very impressive individual, Brian. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Robyn. Well, look, I appreciate that. I don't know how to respond to that, but I work hard and I love what I do. And I have great people around me, right? And I've read a lot of things about sort of how to lead in business and how to be a good business leader. And it always says surround yourself with really good people. And I try really hard to put really good people around me. And they're often the talents. They're the reasons that things go really well. You know, if you put really good people around you, then no one really notices what you're doing because they're focusing on it. No, I'm joking, but I'm
It's
also.
hard. It's hard for anyone to take a compliment, so I get it. I throw it out there because I believe it, but I get it's hard to take a compliment, so that's fine.
So, but yeah, no, it's, you know what, like there's so many talented people at all levels of theater, right? Whether it's professional or amateur or student theater, and it's the same, right? Like I think, you know, if I was to give any advice to anybody, you know, who's starting out or who's studying it, is to say that like what you're doing when you're young is exactly the same thing that you're doing when you're older. There just might be more money and you know, you might get tired a little bit earlier, but otherwise, like it's the same.
And better technology. I don't know if you find that way. I was thinking of the projects I used to try and do when I was younger versus now, and I can do so much more. It's great.
Oh yeah, no, the technology is crazy, and it's getting better, right? Like there's more and more technology, right? I mean, at one point cars were mechanical, now they're computers on wheels, right? And you know, we'll see what happens with theater, but there's more and more IT coming into theater on a day-to-day basis, and especially now that we've been able to do what we've been able to do streaming wise, I don't see that going away.
Hmm.
I think we're gonna see a lot of the technological advances that we've had to use over the past year, finding their way into live performance as we move forward.
For sure. Ugh, I feel like I have absorbed so much knowledge from you. I'm like taking notes. I have to look up a musical and get a new audition song. Brian, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate this so much. Thanks for chatting with me. And yeah, I'm like you added I don't want to leave you like, is there any final words? Because I really like the last thing you said. So I think
Um,
we should end on, unless there's more. There's always more. We love chatting. Uh,
yeah, no, I was this. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to do this, and I hope that everyone's who's watching had a good time. I've had a great time, um, and yeah, no, I think if you know, if we want to part on something positive, like let's you know, let's give to each other, right? Let's find ways to pay it forward and to help each other, as we start to, you know, see each other again and do things for each other. So
oh,
that was
great. Now I'm gonna have to babysit. I see where this is going. No, okay.
so
They're old enough. They're fine. Okay.
I missed that. So what was that last?
I said, now I'm going to have to babysit. I see where this is going. Not cool. That was a joke, though, because they're old. They're fine, right? After a certain age, they can all just take care of each other. I'm not a parent, but I make rules up.
Well, my kids are almost old enough to babysit. They're getting there. Not
Oh,
yet, but they'll be there. So soon.
oh, see, that's the problem. I can't end conversations. Okay. Brian, thank you again. And yeah, I'm going to try and tag everything because you're doing a lot of cool stuff. And, you know, people should follow you and learn from you because I think you're awesome. So there you go.
Thank you so much, Robyn. This was a lot of fun, and have a great day, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks all for watching. And okay, bye.